I've had a litany of people in the past couple days beg me for my opinion about WWE, Peacock, the censorship that's going on as far as WWE's historical content on the Peacock streaming service, my general thoughts on that, and really, this whole video boils down to two things. It's the legacy of pro wrestling and the legacy of WWE and cancel culture, and fitting a mainstream present-day agenda and narrative. Those are the two things that this whole issue supposedly boils down to. Now, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. I'm not promoting that WWE need to do a bunch of segments like Roddy Piper doing blackface, or Sable and the handprints, or Vince McMahon saying the N-word. If you're taking that away from the video, that the elitist is actively promoting WWE doing horribly racist and sexist segments, if that's what you're taking away from this video, you are completely and totally off the mark. That is not at all what I'm trying to say, condone, or promote. What I am saying is that changing that, modifying that, sanitizing that, deleting that, wiping that from history, what I'm saying is that wiping history and deleting history because it doesn't fit the modern day narrative and agenda that the mainstream's pushing right at this moment, I'm saying that doing that is wrong. I'm saying that changing stuff from 30 years ago because it was okay to do then and it's not okay to do now, deleting that from history because it doesn't fit the narrative now, that's not okay. It's a general kind of cancel culture thing. It's a general thing with censorship. And really this video, it's turning into more of just a general censorship discussion because yes, Peacock, WWE Network, this is the example for this video. But really, this boils down to a greater systemic issue. This boils down to stuff nowadays being so sanitized and censored, and stuff from days gone by that's raunchy, edgy, adult-oriented, stuff that at the time was completely okay and acceptable or pushing the envelope then, that stuff nowadays, no, you can't do that, delete it, oh my god, and you have to cancel it, have to censor it, have to delete it altogether. It's that whole general sentiment that it just doesn't, it irks me. Because the fact of the matter is, I'm 18 years old, which that's going to break kayfabe for a lot of people. I'm supposed to be in the generation of people growing up nowadays who are, affected by all these things, who are so soft, and I'm looking at this stuff and thinking to myself, this is wrong. I get nowadays is very PC. It's very, you have to lean one way to fit in. If you're outside the box, YouTube, watch Kiki, they're going to shut you down. They're going to censor you if you really speak out in a way that isn't the general consensus norm. I get that stuff. I completely get it. I see it. I've observed this for years now. It's part and parcel of modern day society in 2021. But contextually speaking, you look at just culture as a whole, this censorship stuff, Peacock having the WWE, library and being able to stream it and having the rights to stream that in the US, Peacock having that, NBC having that, and using that right, that grant, that ability to censor out moments in wrestling's history. It doesn't sit well with me, dude. It doesn't sit well with me because the fact of the matter is, we're in a day and age now where NBC are in near enough full control of WWE. Yes, Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, etc., are still the ones writing the shows nowadays. But the fact of the matter is, NBC have such a say because of this deal. NBC, you can see their influence with the Raws and the content nowadays. If you saw Monday Night Raw for March 29th, 2021, you can see NBC's just influence, their agendas. You can tell that there's a push to make wrestling so much more, child-friendly, so much more sanitized. Wrestling's gone from a boom period in 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000. A boom period in that time where it was adult-oriented, the content was edgy, cool, it was counterculture, it was content that you'd want to show someone who is your friend. If you're two 25-year-olds standing at the cooler at work, you'd want to discuss pro wrestling. You'd want to discuss WWF, WCW. That's the stuff you'd want to talk about, even ECW, which don't even get me started on ECW. I get ECW, like 90s ECW is everything that modern society and culture stands completely against. I totally get that. Completely, I'm not naive to that fact at all. Like New Jack shoot segments, the crowd chanting things that I don't even want to consider saying on video because YouTube would take down my channel. All this kind of stuff back in the 90s was just obscene. But the fact of the matter is, they're deleting whole shows, completely censoring crowds, completely destroying, like, you know, the fabric of what made that great. And that doesn't sit well with me. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not some old-timer 45-year-old who grew up watching that and is a disgruntled old man who can't change with the times. I'm growing up in this generation, and I'm witnessing the greatness of days gone by shut down to try and appease people nowadays who don't even really care about wrestling. The fact of the matter is, but with NBC and Peacock censoring out this stuff, they're trying to cater to people who aren't even the ones watching wrestling nowadays, predominantly. Like, this is the whole thing, dude. It's literally NBC and Peacock censoring, sanitizing, and deleting this content, this, you know, edgy, violent, adult, either sexualized, all this kind of content from days gone by, so that in future, in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and probably on from there, that, you know, to make sure that NBC, Peacock aren't the victim of cancel culture. So that these random, you know, these, I'll use the term snowflakes, these people, the cancel culture crowd on social media, these people can't dig through Peacock and they can't discover the Roddy Piper blackface segment and go, NBC is racist, NBC hates black people. Because that's realistically what happens with this type of stuff. NBC must apologize, delete this now, NBC. Even though that was a segment from 1990, which is so messy as it is. That whole blackface segment with Roddy Piper, I'm not condoning that for 1 second at all. I think, yes, that type of segment is just, you know, universally accepted as not okay and kind of something that's like, you don't really want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But nonetheless, in 1990, that had approval and was more culturally accepted than it is now. So the fact of the matter is, deleting that from the network because it doesn't fit the agenda nowadays, it's just, I mean, that's one of so many segments. I used the Roddy Piper blackface segment as an example, but there are countless segments that Peacock are deleting. Countless things Peacock are censoring. Middle fingers, crowd chants, you know, chair shots to certain areas, or everything. Peacock is censoring so much. And it's wrestling's fabric, it's wrestling's identity, it's wrestling and what made wrestling cool falling by the wayside because NBC and Peacock want to fit in nowadays. And really, it just, everything I've been saying for the past year and a half, that wrestling needs to cater to a more edgy demographic. Wrestling needs to really incorporate stuff that's cool, to really build on characters in a meaningful way that makes people like me, of my generation, care about wrestling, and not just go watch UFC or something like that. Everything I've been saying about that for all this time, it's just, it's basically redundant, if I'm being honest, because, as I've said a couple times in this video, I'll reiterate it one more time, WWE and pro wrestling as a whole lives on its past, it lives on its legacy, and now, is there any chance that wrestling's going to go back to anything remotely like that? Well, no. Because WWE, Vince McMahon, they made the smart business move. They sold out to Peacock because money, the money talks, pal. $1 billion over 5 years, or whatever the exact specifics are. That's insane. Money talks. I get it from Vince's perspective. It's brilliant. But the fact of the matter is, Peacock, NBC, no pun intended, have WWE by the balls. Literally, Peacock have WWE by the balls. That's so legit. That's the truth, though. As funny as you guys are gonna kick out of that, as funny as it sounds, it's true. And literally, NBC own WWE. At this point, quite literally, they control the narrative. They control what WWE we get. WWE is the monopoly in pro wrestling. So in turn, WWE personifies pro wrestling. Yes, you'll always have your other alternatives, MLW, Impact Wrestling, AEW, New Japan, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, WWE is pro wrestling. When you ask 100 randoms on the street about wrestling, they're going to be like, oh, WWE, I know about that. I know about Hogan, Austin, etc. That's the reaction you're going to get from like 95 out of 100 people when you ask wrestling. They're going to say WWE. And going forward for the next 5 years minimum, that is going to be basically predominantly Peacock sanitized, ran through Peacock, which personally, I'm in Australia, so I don't have the Peacock version of the WWE network. I still have just the regular WWE network, which the network is dope. But God knows where it's going to go from there. Is NBC going to take over streaming rights in other countries, potentially down the line? It waits to be seen. We don't know what's going to happen in years, months down the line. But what we do know, Peacock, NBC are censoring WWE's backlog. They're sanitizing WWE's history. Moments, edginess, adult-themed content that many people grew up loving and that many people became infatuated with pro wrestling because of. That content is now just gone. There's no way of seeing that content outside of tape trading, people who still have the DVDs from back in the day. That's the only way to see this, raw, authentic content. Because nowadays, the sanitization of pro wrestling and the sanitization of society, it's just... I honestly can't believe what's happening, dude. We're in 2021. I don't know where we're going to be in 3, 5, 7 years down the line. Because with the way we're trending, with this Peacock censorship of WWE, this just... I don't even know, dude. Hope you enjoyed the video. This has been an awfully in-depth video. I haven't had any notes for this, but I've just done this all off the cuff. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. All that kind of good stuff. Leave down below your thoughts on Peacock. I've got a feeling my comments are going to be fairly anti-Peacock, which... I'm not really condoning toxicity. I want a positive comment section, but I know the fact of the matter is it's going to be fairly anti-Peacock. But yeah, like the video, all that kind of stuff. Sub, share the channel around, march to Mania, road to 3K subs. You guys have been smashing out the park lately. Peace.